The Mask That Eats the Face. Pretty interesting title, but a lot of application. Stick around and find out how it can apply to you. Welcome back to episode 5 of Thoughts in the Car. I'm Bhrett Basham, and today I want to revisit a podcast I produced about 3 years ago. And the interview was with Bhrett McCabe on his Secrets to Winning podcast. And I've linked it right here with ESPN Senior Writer Wright Thompson. And if you're not familiar with Wright Thompson, his articles on ESPN.com are remarkable. They're unbelievable, as he's probably the best just overall storyteller, not just in sports, but really in all of journalism. You've probably heard his voice, very iconic voice, narrating pieces for ESPN productions of College Gameday, The Masters. He's done some ESPN 30 for 30 documentaries. But today I want to focus on one of his books because it's incredibly fascinating. It's called The Cost of These Dreams, and it goes in depth and behind the scenes with some of the most accomplished and highest achieving athletes of all time. And there's two that he focuses on a lot, Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods. We've all heard those names, they're household names, but more importantly, I think, what these individuals had to sacrifice in order to reach the pinnacles of their sport, hence the name, the cost, what those dreams cost. And one section of the book in particular discusses how the fame and celebrity became so much a part of who they were that it was almost like they were wearing a mask. And after a while, that mask started to eat their face. And what I mean by that is the outward appearance they were trying to portray to the public actually overtook the person or the people that they were trying to be and who they actually were as people. They became like personas, avatars almost, that were created. And I want to focus on two stories that Wright talked about each of those individuals, Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods. And so we'll start with Michael Jordan. And he said anyone who grew up with Michael Jordan referred to him simply as Mike. So he was not Michael, he was just Mike. And Wright mentions in the book that it's almost as if Mike Jordan from Wilmington, North Carolina is dead, and Michael Jordan, the one we all know and love, killed him. Not literally, but the persona of Michael Jordan and who he became killed Mike from Wilmington, North Carolina. It's fascinating when he taught the examples that he uses in the book. And then he also focuses on Tiger Woods. And Tiger Woods simply grew up as Eldrick. They called him Tiger from an early age, but Tiger was this Tiger became, this larger than life avatar that was really untouchable. It was a fascinating example in the book that was talked about when Tiger Woods when he began his rise to stardom at an early age, and how Nike and other people tried to market him. And the only other athlete that they had to go on that was this much larger than life was Michael Jordan, ironically, which was the blueprint that they used to market Tiger Woods. They were completely different personalities, with Michael Jordan being a big-time extrovert and Tiger, an extreme introvert. And it was really uncomfortable for Tiger, and he constantly had to be something that he wasn't. I remember another example, outside of those two guys, kind of when Johnny Manziel was going through his kind of Heisman Trophy run, and I remember him saying that, kind of paraphrasing here, I don't remember the exact quote, but it's like, all I ever wanted to do was to become famous, and then when I got the fame, all I wanted to do was give it back. There are some parallels here to kind of everyday individuals like you and me who aren't at the top of the sports world, the entertainment world, or the business world. And I think the parallel here is that a lot of us are wearing a mask in some form or fashion. We're struggling with something. Everybody's struggling with something, no matter how severe or how minor that struggle is. You know, we're struggling with something. We're hurting. We're suffering with something in silence, you know, that we try to cover up on a regular basis. You know, most recently, the untimely passing of Twitch from the Ellen Show, popular, famous dancer, extremely just bright personality, but was suffering in silence and was hurting big time. And I think, you know, we try to cover those things up on a regular basis, and every time we go to work, to school, play a sport, or just we're around people in general, you know, we try to hide behind this mask. We try to put on a smile. We try to act tough, or we try to act like we're fine and everything's under control, when in fact, on the other side of that mask, we're hurting. We're struggling. We need some help. And one of the quotes that has resonated with me over the last few years is this: just because someone is carrying it well doesn't mean it isn't heavy. Just because someone is carrying it well doesn't mean it isn't heavy. The mask that we all put on every day can feel like, sometimes it can feel like the weight of the world. You know, it is so heavy, and the burden is so heavy at times that it's really hard to bear. And I don't want people to understand, because I've dealt with this myself in different times, is that it's okay just to say, well, you know what? You know, I'm not okay today. I'm not 100%. I don't feel like myself today. For the longest time, when I felt this way, I didn't want to burden people with my problems. I didn't want to unload whatever it was that I was going through or dealing with. But you know what? Those same people that I didn't want to burden were actually the ones who were begging me to tell them how I was feeling or what was going on in my life, because they were there for me, you know, and just didn't want to see me, you know, struggle like that. And then finally, check on your people. You know, the ones that may seem like they have it all together on the outside, they're the ones that may be wearing a mask. They're the ones that may be wearing this alternative personality that you see in real life, because they're trying to just portray that outward appearance of everything's fine, they got everything under control. I'm hearing of too many people, you know, that from the outside look like they're happy, you know, they're enjoying life, all of that. But when it's time to go home and the mask comes off, they're struggling and they're suffering in silence. And it's just really sad. It's just really sad. I really want to encourage people today that no matter what's going on in your life, you know, no matter how large it may seem, or no matter how, you know, small it may seem, if it's affecting your day-to-day life and causing you to have to put on this mask, then I want to encourage you to talk to someone about it, or to get those thoughts out of your head and get them off your chest. Because if I can tell you anything from personal experience, the more that we suppress those, and the more that we try to hide behind this mask and suppress those feelings, suppress those thoughts, you know, the more it's going to snowball. And before long, you've got a full-blown house on fire type situation. I experienced that a lot with when my sister died. I've always tried to play things pretty close to the vest. I didn't like to tell people my problems. I didn't like to voice when I was feeling, or when I was struggling, for lack of a better term, for when I was struggling with anxiety or anything else. And that was a point where, the grief and the burden and things were just too much to handle on my own. And I really needed to talk about it, just with family, and to discuss, kind of how I was feeling, what this particular situation was doing to me, and it was doing to other people, around me. And I felt a little sense of peace whenever I was able to get those thoughts out of my head and to talk about it. And I realized that people genuinely wanted to help me. They genuinely wanted to listen. They wanted to listen to understand, not necessarily to provide a response to what I was going through. And I think we all need that sometimes. We all need someone just to listen, just to listen, and not necessarily to provide their response, but to say, hey, I'm there for you. I'm here to help whenever you need it. And something like that can go a long way when someone's struggling, they're dealing with something. If that's you, if you're the person wearing a mask, hey, get those feelings out. Let's talk to somebody about it. Because just doing that may be able to release some of that burden that you're carrying and not feel like it weighs 1,000 pounds. So let's try to lighten the load a little bit. And if you know of someone that that may seem fine on the outside, but you can tell something's off, or they may be going through something, reach out to them today. Reach out to them and say simply, I'm here for you if you need to talk, and that I love you. I mean, that goes a long way. I know it did with me. So with that said, I hope that's helped in some way today. I hope that if you're wearing a mask, it's okay to take it off and to simply be yourself and share those thoughts and get them out of your head. So as always, tell those in your life, if they mean something to you, that you love them. And we'll see you next time.